So on this week's episode of Castle Rock, we get a Home Alone edition where Pop and crew defend themselves against Ace, and Pop makes a very interesting decision at the end of this episode. We're going to talk about that and much more. What is going on, everybody? Elliot back with my weekly recap, breakdown, and review of the latest episode of Castle Rock Season 2, Episode 9, which was titled Caveat Emptor, Pop Confronts His Old Demons. So before we get into this spoiler-filled discussion, definitely consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that bell so you can stay up to date with my latest Castle Rock episode and all my other TV reviews, movie reviews, and all the fun stuff we do on this channel. And if and when you've seen this latest episode of Castle Rock, I want to know what you all thought of this episode. Let me know your positives, your negatives, and let me know what you think is going to happen in next week's season finale. So last week, if you all watched my review, which a lot of you did, I appreciate the support and the wonderful comments. I wasn't the biggest fan of last week's episode. Number one, it was only 35 minutes. I feel like it was definitely a filler episode, and we really didn't get much other than finding out that Joy is now the vessel that is, Amity's perfect fit and not Annie. Outside of that, I wasn't a fan of the episode, but this week, I could definitely say within the first 6 minutes, I enjoyed it much more than I did last week. So let's jump into this recap here. We pick up immediately after we last saw Pop, which was episode 7, right? Where we saw him in the town and running away from when the town saw the statue and heard the noise, which we still don't know what that noise is. We obviously, in Stephen King mythology and lore, there's noises and sounds that can catch people, but we don't know why certain people heard it and why others don't. I'm interested to know you all's theories on why Pop and Annie and Nadeed and everyone like that didn't hear the sound, but other ones did. So let me know you all's theories in the comments below. But we see Pop, he immediately heads to his shop. He looks in some letters. We briefly see the letter that we saw from weeks ago, a couple episodes ago, which was from Alan, which you guys remember. Alan's from season 1 of Castle Rock, which was the sheriff of town during that time. And we see he gets information to Pop about the kid, which we know we still haven't gotten anything about him in regards to who his identity is. What, they mentioned that he's an angel in this episode, which we'll talk a little bit about later, but we still don't know much about the kid's identity yet. And again, I love you all's theories on who you all think he is. And I was hoping that we got a little bit more meat on that bone, but we didn't get much. But I'm expecting they might leave that until the season finale. And some of you are theorizing that he's just going to pop in and out throughout these different seasons. So we'll see if we'll eventually get the identity of the kid next week. So from there, we see Ace talk to her about the kid. Again, like I had mentioned, Ace says that he needs to find the kid in the cage, Bill Skarsgård, and that's when they had mentioned that he's an angel. We see Pop goes to the hospital. He sees that, Chris died, his nephew, and obviously Nadia is very upset by that. They put him down and everything of that nature, but then they run into Chance, which, as I had mentioned a couple weeks ago, I'm wondering if Chance is going to pop back up in the season, and she does, and she's going to be kind of, I guess, a pivotal character in our last stance against Ace and crew. So we see that they kind of bunch up, they team up together, and again we get the 6 minutes episode. I'm already enjoying it much more than I did in the entire 35 minutes of last week's episode, because we get some action. This was a very action heavy episode. It was kind of off-putting. I'll talk about that a little bit later, because we haven't got any of that this season, nor have we got it in this show. So it was a little bit weird with the gunfights and the chase scene, but that first chase scene reminded me kind of like a Terminator for a minute, where we see Abdi, who finally appears. Like, he's literally, if you talk about underdeveloped characters and characters that just been put on the back burner, he's definitely probably number 1 on my list. He comes and kind of saves them and rescues them, and we go back to Pop's place, and as I had mentioned up top, he kind of makes it a Home Alone special, where he has his homemade bombs. They're placing the bombs in the basement, on the windows at the front door, but, Annie finds her way in with her, and she has 2 other people. The guy that we saw in the very first episode who works with Annie, I think his name was Jamal, and another lady that works at the hospital that we also saw briefly in the first episode. They come in. They explain how they were able to get there. They interrogate them. I thought that scene was a little weird, that they were interrogating them differently. Yes, you can have the people that they brought in, Annie and them, yes, interrogate them separately for you can make sure the stories line up or don't line up. But I just found it weird that Abdi was interviewing the one Jamal, and then Pop was interviewing Annie. I just thought that seems just a little weird. But anyway, Annie tells Pops that she did kill Ace, and it answers my question from a couple weeks ago, and a lot of you all answered that. But I was just wondering why in last week's episode when we saw Annie and Ace talking, she was not necessarily comfortable. And a lot of you all mentioned, you know, obviously she has to kind of play it to a certain degree because she has no other ways to get out of the situation with the Marston house last week. But she did admit that, you know, she didn't think that she killed Ace. She thought her mind was kind of playing tricks on her. As we know, Annie's a little loose in the screws up there, but she admits to Pop that she killed him and that where she placed the body and all the theories that we've had in regards to, or not theories, but all the stuff that we know about him coming back and bringing people with him and things of that nature. So we get that stuff there. Jamal attacks Pop and Nadia stops him from doing so. They eject him with medicine. As we know, if you eject these people with medicine, they somewhat go back in their memories and come back to themselves, as we saw with Chris there. And they try to get information from him, but Annie doesn't want any information from him because she's not given any information, especially about Joy. So we see in the mix of this scene that I'm going to talk about with Annie, we see Pop and Ace having their conversations and trying to make a deal with each other. But in the meantime, we get Annie and Jamal in a scene together, and it's a cool homage to Misery, as they've been doing all this year with different scenes from Annie and Misery with the sledgehammer and things of that nature. But we see Jamal tied up to the bed, very reminiscent of the movie there. She doesn't have a lot of patience with Jamal and just decides to put 2 syringes in his eye. Again, all the stuff that Annie's been doing, she has been such a cool character to me in this show, and I think Lizzy is just killing it so far. And like I said in many of my other reviews, she's been like the driving force for me in regards to this entertainment and intrigue. And my favorite episode still to date is episode 5, which is the laughing place, which is a solely focused Annie episode. So I like that moment there, getting the homage. And again, they kill Jamal and she stabs him in the eye with a syringe. Pretty cool scene. From there, we see Ace and Pop continue to have conversations, which to me was a little bit of wasted space in my eyes. Some of that stuff was you know, relationship. You know, we know that their relationship is fractured and dysfunctional, but we know that Pop isn't talking to Ace necessarily. He's talking to Augustin. So it was just, to me, that stuff that they were talking about. The only really thing that I took away from it was when Ace mentions to Pop that, you know, I'm going to get information from you. And we kind of know how that plays out later on in the episode. It was like, hey, Pop, you can either go with them or they're going to kill you and turn you into them. So that was like the only thing I took away from that back and forth conversation that we got with Pop and Ace there. And a lot of that family drama was kind of heavily focused on this episode with Pop and how he treated the kids and how they felt a certain way. Him and Abdi have a little bit of a moment, and of course, you know, him and Nadia had a moment early on. So a lot of that family drama with Pop's family, I'm just like, guys, can you shift to more stuff? The kid, who is the kid? What is, you know, what's the stuff going on and all that stuff? I want to focus more on that versus like that family drama. But let me know if you guys are really engrossed in that storyline. To me, it's just kind of hit or miss. Again, Annie's like the most interesting thing to me and all that storyline. So from there, Pop, he decides to burn all the letters. Sure, why not? I guess smart idea. The cult finally gets in, and Pop, begins to lead the rest of the crew downstairs to escape, to go to the train and do their escape plan. But before that, we see Pop injects himself with the medicine. He has Abdi and everyone. He locks them out and says, I'm going to give you guys some time. He puts the bomb on them, and you think he's going to kill himself. And, you know, him and Ace have that conversation. And, you know, it was a very interesting conversation because, you know, Ace, as it shows, he can't just find another body. So, you know, Pop pretends to blow himself up. It was all a hoax. And, you know, Ace shoots him in the head. So I think for me, and I think a lot of you all are going to agree with this, Pop planned this out. He wanted him to kill him and turn him because we all know that he injected himself with the medicine. So I'm thinking that Pop is going to be kind of half himself, half into the cult. Try to get as much information from Ace as possible to figure out what he wants and what they're trying to do, and then probably relay that information to Nadia and Adid and Annie and figure out how they're going to stop this whole thing. So overall, I enjoyed this episode a lot more than I did last week. Again, I guess it's just, for me personally, I want to know who the kid is. And I want to have more stuff with the Annie storyline and Joy. But of course, like I said, there is that meat on the bone with Pop, with Nadine, with Nadia. Pop is officially dead. You can say that now. And it'll be interesting to see by the end of next week's episode if there's a way to get the people back to who they used to be. I don't know if this is the very end for Pop or they're going to save them and give them all medicine. I guess they're going to just have like a cocktail of medicine for everyone to take. Who knows? But again, guys, let me know your thoughts, your theories, your pros, your cons of this latest episode of Castle Rock. Again, we have one more episode till next week's season finale, which again, This season has been pretty consistent for me personally, minus 1 or 2 episodes, but I've been very pleased with everything we've gotten so far, and I'm very excited to see how this season ends and if we get some of those answers and how they're going to finish everything up. So again, thank you all for watching this review. I will be back next week to review the season finale. In the meantime, give this video a thumbs up. Like I said, comment below, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, stay up to date with my latest videos. Check out some of my recent trailer reactions for some big blockbuster films coming out next year, as well as my reviews for movies. I got a review coming for Honey Boy later today, so check that out. And I'm also seeing an early screening of Aeronauts that I'm going to be reviewing later this week. And we got a lot more TV stuff coming later this week as well, so keep an eye out for those videos. Thank you all for watching this review, and we'll see you on the next video.